On this episode of Supercars Torque, Nick Percat's got a new paint job, Lowndes is out and Crean's in, and we've got some clarity on the calendar for the rest of the year. Everyone's favourite Supercars topic, Nick Percat has a new paint job for this weekend and probably for the rest of the year. R&J batteries, which have been on Todd Hazelwood's car earlier on this year, they've decided to step up and become naming rights sponsor on Percat's car. Doesn't look quite as good as the Dunlop car, which looked sensational in my opinion, but in this whole COVID world that we're in at the moment, where everybody's doom and gloom, it is great that a sponsor's stepped up and jumped on board. I'd imagine this year it's probably not the same kind of money as what you'd get for a normal kind of full year sponsorship thing, but it is what it is. It's great that we've that Nick's got a sponsor for the rest of the year. Don't know what we're going to talk about between rounds now without him getting a new paint job every weekend. But once again as well, Brad Jones, R&J Batteries is, linked in a bit to the whole car market kind of thing. But they have brought on Brute and, R&J Batteries as sponsors this year, which is great. They're not pinching sponsors from other teams or anything. They're bringing in new companies, and they seem to be able to foster that because there was a little bit of concern over their finances early on this year, with Freightliner and that stepping away. So great news, bring more of it on. And we have also Core Staff is sponsoring one of the events in Darwin as well. So, granted, probably is a smaller sponsorship deal, but at least we are seeing some sponsors getting involved. It's not as things aren't as bad as what some people are making out. Gives us a little bit of hope moving into the future. For this weekend in Darwin, and next weekend in Darwin, and the weekend after that in Townsville by looks, and the weekend after that in Townsville again by the looks. That's 4 weekends straight of racing, it looks like at the moment. Going to cover that in a minute when I talk about the calendar. But right now we're talking about commentators. Scafie, Crompton and Jess Yates are stuck in New South Wales. They're not allowed to cross the border because they're in a hotspot. Being in Victoria, everything's a hotspot. So, yeah, it is what it is. So they're going to commentate from the Fox Studios in Sydney over the weekend. Mr. Lowndes, he will not be at Darwin. Not going to be sad about that. Not sure. Have I made it clear about my opinion on the commentators at the moment? Well, yeah. Lowndes isn't the right man for the job. So he's not going to be there. Rhianna Crean's back. I'm happy about that. I actually think she does quite a good job. A lot of the time, it's an unfortunate thing, but a lot of the times females seem to be put in there for their looks. Don't quite understand the whole Kate Peck thing. But I know even I thought when Jess Yates was first brought in, I thought, oh, here we go, she's quite reasonable looking. Maybe don't tell my wife about that. But I thought, here we go, we just got, some pretty girl in front of the TV. Jess seems to do quite a good job. And I think Rhianna does a great job as well. So I'm more than happy that we've got Rhianna instead of Lowndes, because I don't think, although Lowndes is a great driver, great ambassador for the sport or whatever, I don't think he really adds to the coverage. So not sad about that. Could have also done with getting rid of Scaife. And I don't actually think Scaife has that many fans of him as a commentator. I was a Scaife fan while he was driving. He's past his use by date. I think, it's hard to say because you kind of need a driver opinion in there. And Neil Crompton is more the lead commentator. But, maybe I'm happy to keep Crompton. Maybe we should move on from Scaife. A lot of people are still butthurt over the whole Ingle going thing. I think Ingle did a better job than Lowndes. There was obviously friction there with Scaife and Ingle, so it's obvious who's going to get shuffled. But if you watch the Enforcer and the Dude, Russell's kind of comments, the anti-supercars comments that he's coming out with these days, getting quite strong. And I think even there was a couple of times in the last episode where Paul Morris kind of went and took a bit of a deep breath at some of the things that Russell was saying, and I don't think he really agreed with Russell on some. He seems to be going a bit, very kind of anti-supercars, and he's all like, thumbs up TCR. And I think Paul Morris is a bit more of a realist on that kind of thing. Maybe we should get Paul Morris in the commentary team. Don't think that's going to happen, but it will be. Hey, IndyCars have got Paul Tracy commenting, so Paul Morris is pretty much the equivalent of that. We don't need the racist kind of things that Paul Tracy comes out with sometimes, though. I can't see Paul Morris doing that. Anyway, so a few changes to the commentary team, and it looks like that is going to flow on for the next 4 events because of this whole border restrictions and things like that. The calendar, we have a bit more clarity on what's happening at the moment. So we have no midweek racing. Darwin 1 is this weekend. Darwin 2 is next weekend, August 22, 23. Townsville is August 29, 30 and September 5 and 6. Then we have a break. Currently, they have Sandown on the calendar for September 12th and 13th, I think it is. Victoria's in the state of whatever threat level midnight that we're at the moment. Disaster or whatever they're calling it. I think that goes until September 9th, is it? September 11th, I think. Ooh, funnily enough, 9/11. I think that's when we're in this current lockdown until. So we're not going to have Sandown on that weekend. That's not going to happen. So, yeah, it's still on the calendar though. Then we have the break until Bathurst on October 8th to 11th. So what I am proposing for the calendar, also then after Bathurst, we've still got Wanneroo down and the Sydney Motorsport Park. So Wanneroo's not going to happen, I don't think, because they don't want any of us, dirty Easterners coming across, especially if the teams are going to go to Queensland and then New South Wales. They're not going to get to Western Australia for the rest of this year, unfortunately. So what I am proposing as the calendar is we go from Townsville straight down to Queensland Raceway, have a couple of rounds there, which would be on September 12th and 13th, which is, I think that's the Sandown weekend, September 19th, 20th. So we have 6 weekends, bang, 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 in a row. Everybody, gets really tired or whatever. Then they can kind of group in that Brisbane area as much as possible. Yes, the Victorian teams aren't going to get home. They're probably not going to get home anyway. So, cut our losses, do that. It kind of gives half a chance of, some of the Queensland teams could possibly help some of the Victorian teams if they're running out of spares and things like that. Or Victoria will also be out of lockdown, so, you will be able to go back to your factory or have, guys at your factory produce some stuff and send it up. Then we have a 2-week break. We all convene at Bathurst for the 1000, and then we don't finish at Bathurst. I would like to still go to Sydney Motorsport Park for the finale. That can be the weekend after. Have a finale that's separate to Bathurst, so it doesn't dilute Bathurst. We get to crown the Bathurst winner and then the champion separately. You still get your finale in New South Wales. Everybody's got COVID or whatever. You can go and do your isolating, but that's the end of the year there. And what I would like to see is possibly one of those Queensland races being a 500. Not sure how that works with border closures and things like that, but we could also maybe make the Sydney finale a longer distance race as well, because you've got to have the co-drivers in Bathurst for the 1000. You've got to do pit stops and whatever there, so you can't say the equipment and that's not there. So we just take it across to Sydney Motorsport Park, and then at least we get 2 long distance races in for the year. Maybe could we have one of them at Queensland and then Bathurst and then one at Sydney? Let me know what you think in the comments. It's great starting to get a few comments and things like that. If you want to send me a direct message or something, we've got supercarstorque@gmail.com, or I can be found on Instagram and Bookface. Probably not too far to find me. And let's enjoy the racing on the weekend. We got 4 weeks of it non-stop by the looks. So until next time, I'll see you later.